In the crucible of history where destinies are forged and the echoes of valor resonate through time, there exists a moment of unwavering resolve, a testament to the indomitable spirit of a nation. December 7th, 1941, etched into the annals of American history, heralded an unprecedented assault on Pearl Harbor, thrusting the United States into World War II. As the sun dipped below the Pacific horizon that fateful day, a nation torn apart, its morale asunder, stood at the precipice of retaliation, igniting the flames of vengeance and birthing a saga that would echo through the corridors of time. From this crucible emerged a plan, audacious, daring, and destined to become one of the most pivotal turning points in World War II. This was the genesis of a mission inscribed in the very fabric of history, the Doolittle Raid. Following the attack on Pearl Harbor, the United States was in no position to counterattack, allowing Japan to expand rapidly across the Pacific and Pan-Asia in late 1941. This pushed American morale to a breaking point, and public support for the war hung in the balance to be easily swayed by news and propaganda. Suffering defeat after defeat, Allied morale wavered, and the Allied nations wondered if they could ever take the initiative against such an unstoppable Japanese behemoth. Putting immense pressure on US President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the Japanese attack on American homeland forced his hand to engage in the Second World War. Meeting with the Joint Chiefs of Staff on December 21, 1941, the President asserted that Japan must be attacked promptly to rally Allied morale and bring the war to the heart of the aggressor. Executed by the United States Armed Forces in April 1942, the Doolittle Raid stands as a beacon of resilience and strategic ingenuity, representing the first thunderous response to the Japanese aggression upon American soil. Showcasing American resolve to retaliate, the audacious operation to attack the Japanese mainland not only bolstered American morale, but also disheartened the Japanese and improved Chinese-American relations, contributing decisively to the tide turning in favor of the Allies. Thereby, the Doolittle Raid irrevocably changed the dynamics of the Pacific Theater, marking a critical turning point in history. The Doolittle Raid was initiated with the mission proposal by U.S. Navy Captain Francis Lowe. 80 airmen of the Volunteer Bombing Group 17, operating 16 aircraft, were to be convoyed by aircraft carrier USS Hornet to 400 miles off the Japanese coast. From there, they would take off, strike designated targets on the Japanese mainland, and land in Allied China to seek refuge. Recognizing the viability of this proposal, the Navy commissioned Lieutenant Colonel James Harold Doolittle, a renowned test pilot, to lead the bombing raid. The full weight of responsibility rested upon Doolittle's shoulders as he was entrusted with the leadership of this perilous endeavor. The morning of April 18, 1942, marked a decisive moment as 16 B-25 bombers breached Japanese airspace, constituting the first direct contact between the American military and the Japanese mainland, crossing a significant boundary and bringing the war to Japan. Encountering minimal resistance, the raiders were able to drop their high explosive weaponry. Notably striking Japanese manufacturing plants, factories, and naval yards, the raid killed 50 Japanese workers and wounded another 400. The magnitude of this mission reverberates through history as one of the rare instances when Japan felt the sting of attack on its own homeland, demonstrating a turning point in the course of the war. Beyond the physical devastation inflicted, the Doolittle Raid achieved its paramount objective, an immense boost to American morale. Making headlines across the nation, the audacious retaliatory strike served as a beacon of hope and resolve for the American populace. The American aviators who voluntarily assembled Bombing Group 17 to strike deep into enemy territory swiftly ascended to international recognition, with Doolittle becoming a household name. The emboldened public viewed their fellow airmen as exemplary American fighters willing to bring the war to Japan, galvanizing American support and rekindling a fervent American commitment to the war effort.
The psychological effect was immense. It thoroughly shocked the Japanese and of course boosted the morale of the Americans. So the effect of the raid was not necessarily one that could be gauged by the amount of damage it did, but by the psychological effect.
In the wake of the Doolittle Raid, a renewed sense of unity permeated the nation, inspiring people to enlist in the armed forces and bolster wartime production, strengthening America's capacity to confront the challenges of war and fortifying its determination to achieve victory. Across the Pacific, the raid was detrimental to Japan's national psyche, shattering the long-held perception of Japanese invincibility and exposing the empire's vulnerabilities. For a nation that prided its martial prowess, the realization that enemy forces could strike Japanese soil was a staggering blow to national pride, plunging the Japanese populace into crisis, undermining the foundations of their collective identity and sense of purpose. The once unshakable Japanese confidence gave way to a sense of uncertainty, influencing several missteps that altered the course of the war. The attack forced Japanese units back to the home islands to defend against potential raids, giving up on plans to attack Australia and depleting crucial resources. Additionally, the urgent need to expedite forthcoming military campaigns saw the prioritization of Midway as a critical target to thwart further American operations. However, with Japanese forces divided between homeland defense and expansion plans, an offensive seeking to capture Midway was climactically repelled, resulting in a decisive Allied victory that dramatically shifted the balance of power in the Pacific theater. Thus, the Doolittle raid's effects on Japanese morale and military planning served as a pivotal moment, marking the beginning of a downward spiral for Japan that would ultimately contribute to its defeat in World War II and eventual American occupation. Months after the Doolittle raid was conducted, the American aviators who crewed the B-25s over Japan were finally returning to the United States, being hailed as heroes upon their return. Despite facing daunting challenges including fuel shortages during the mission, most of Doolittle's airmen evaded capture and received invaluable assistance from Chinese civilians following crash landings. Subsequently guided by these civilians, 64 of the 80 raiders successfully navigated to Chongqing, China's wartime capital. Such selfless actions by Chinese civilians sparked a turning point in Chinese-American relations and China's international recognition as an ally. Previous Chinese-American relations were strained, but the shared commitment to freedom and mutual support demonstrated by Chinese civilians who assisted American aviators forged a deep and lasting bond between the two nations. After years of fighting against the Japanese, China was finally acknowledged as an ally of the United States. This newfound appreciation was reflected in increased material support and cooperation, leading to the subsequent establishment of the China-Burma-India Theater of Operations. The Chinese government's recognition of the Doolittle Raiders, symbolized by the declaration presented by First Lady Song Mei-ling, was a powerful gesture of mutual respect that bound the two nations together, transcending cultural and political differences. The successful collaboration set a precedent for joint operations, paving the way for more extensive cooperation and acting as a catalyst for strengthening Chinese-American relations in the post-war era and in the decades to come. However, the triumph of the Doolittle raid was not devoid of a profound cost. 8 of the 80 aviators who took part in the raid were captured by the Japanese, with 3 being executed. Enraged by the bombing of their capital cities, Japanese command also initiated the Zhejiang-Jiangxi campaign in May 1942 as retribution, targeting Chinese civilian populations who led the Doolittle raiders to safety, resulting in the massacre of approximately 250,000 Chinese people for their involvement. This dark chapter underscores the complex geopolitical ramifications of wartime actions and the human toll associated with strategic decisions. In retrospect, the airmen who delivered the first blow against Japan during World War II demonstrated the capabilities of America's military and inspired the nation to rise against a formidable foe. Sparking a flame of resilience that would ignite the nation, the Doolittle raid emerges not only as a turning point in military history, but as an event that permitted American forces to transition from a defensive stance to a proactive offense, illuminating the path towards Allied resurgence and eventual victory.
And from that time on, if you analyze the Pacific War, instead of being on the offensive everywhere, they were back on the defensive until we were just within easy striking distance of Japan in the summer of '45.
Forever shattering the Japanese reputation of invincibility, it showed the world the intricacies of geopolitical consequences and the profound ability to reshape history through strategic, military, and humanitarian actions. Laying a solid foundation for enhanced diplomatic relations between the United States and China, it further illuminated the transformative power of unity in the face of a common enemy. The legacy of the Doolittle raid echoes in modern conflicts, as seen in the modern-day Russo-Ukrainian War. Ukraine's drone attacks on Moscow mirror the audacity and innovation displayed in the Doolittle raid, boosting Ukrainian morale and destabilizing the Russian populace. While history does not repeat itself, the lessons learned from the raid continue to shape combat tactics and inspire acts of defiance in the face of adversity. Within the intricate tapestry of wartime history, the Doolittle raid serves as a beacon of courage, determination, and the unwavering commitment to freedom, offering valuable insights and serving as a timeless inspiration for generations to come.